The air in Detroit's Iron Core MMA gym hung heavy with the scent of sweat, leather, and unspoken dreams. It was a place where ambition clashed with reality, where the rhythmic thump of gloves on pads, and the squeak of sneakers on cracked concrete floors drowned out the city's chaos. On this humid July evening in 2025, the gym pulsed with tension, its flickering fluorescent lights casting long shadows over the ring. Fighters wrapped their hands, traded jabs, and eyed each other with quiet hunger. But tonight, a stranger walked through the rusted metal doors, and the gym would never be the same. Jason Statham, 58, stepped into Iron Core with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His lean frame, clad in a faded black tank top and worn fight shorts, bore the scars of a life spent fighting, not just for cameras, but for real. Raised in London's rougher corners, he'd scrapped in back alleys and boxed in amateur rings before Hollywood called. Years of training in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and kickboxing had honed his body into a weapon. His knuckles scarred from real punches, not staged ones. He wasn't here for fame. He'd come to Detroit to train for a role, seeking a raw, no-frills gym where he could sharpen his edge away from the spotlight. But Iron Core was ruled by a man who thrived on tearing others down. Victor "Tank" Russo, the gym's head coach, stood at the center of it all, a hulking figure with a shaved head and a sneer that could curdle blood. His voice boomed over the clatter of weights, commanding respect and fear. Victor had trained champions, or so he claimed, and his two top fighters, Darnell "Hammer" Briggs, a heavyweight with a sledgehammer right hand, and Marco "Blade" Santiago, a wary welterweight known for his vicious elbows, enforced his reign. To Victor, the gym was his kingdom, and he was its undisputed king. When he spotted Jason, his eyes gleamed with malice. Well, Victor drawled, his voice cutting through the gym's din, if it ain't Jason Statham, the movie star. What's a Hollywood fake doing in my house? You here to film a fight scene with some stuntmen? Laughter rippled through the gym. Fighters paused their drills, turning to watch. In the corner, 20-year-old Jaden Price, a lanky kid with dreams of fight glory, froze mid-jab, his eyes wide with curiosity. Beside him, Ronnie "Steel" Carter, a 49-year-old veteran with a weathered face and a career full of near misses, shook his head. "This ain't going to be pretty, kid," Ronnie muttered. "Victor eats guys like him for breakfast." Jason set his bag down, his steely blue eyes locking onto Victor. His Cockney accent was low, steady, like a blade being unsheathed. "Just here to train, mate. Got a ring? I'll show you what I can do." The gym buzzed with anticipation. Jaden whispered to Ronnie, "You think he's for real?" Ronnie, who'd seen too many posers come and go, shrugged. "We'll see. Victor don't play fair." Victor's grin widened, sensing a chance to humiliate a celebrity and cement his dominance. "All right, Statham. Let's see if you can handle a real spar. Hammer, get in there. Give our movie star a warm-up." Darnell, 6 feet 3 inches and built like a freight train, stepped into the ring, cracking his knuckles. His shaved head gleamed under the lights, and his smirk said he expected an easy win. The bell rang, and the spar began. Darnell lunged, throwing a heavy jab, thinking Jason would fold like a stuntman on cue. But Jason moved like liquid steel, slipping the punch with a boxer's grace. His footwork was surgical, his body coiled like a spring. He countered with a crisp left hook to Darnell's ribs, the crack echoing like a thunderclap. Darnell stumbled back, his smirk replaced by a grimace, clutching his side. The gym fell silent. Victor's face twisted with anger. "Blade, get in there," he barked. Marco, quick and predatory, hopped into the ring, his eyes narrowing. The spar was no longer a spar. It was a gauntlet, a public test of Jason's mettle. Jaden's heart raced. He'd never seen anyone stand up to Victor's crew. Ronnie, though, noticed the calm in Jason's stance. The way his scarred hand stayed loose but ready. Kid, Ronnie said quietly, this guy's been in real scraps. Watch. Darnell recovered and charged again, aiming a looping overhand right at Jason's head. Jason ducked, pivoted to his left, and drove a knee into Darnell's midsection, folding the heavyweight like a lawn chair. Marco seized the moment, darting in with a flurry of punches, his elbows slashing like knives. Jason took a glancing blow to the shoulder, a thin line of blood blooming on his skin, but he didn't flinch. He caught Marco's arm mid-strike, twisting it into an arm drag that sent the welterweight crashing face-first to the mat. The crowd gasped. Jaden's jaw dropped. Ronnie's lips twitched into a rare smile. Victor, his face red with rage, couldn't stomach the sight. Both of you now, he roared, stepping into the ring himself. 3-on-1. The gym's air thickened with tension, the other fighters forming a loose circle around the ring. Jaden whispered, he's done for. But Ronnie saw something else in Jason's eyes, a fire. A predator's focus. He'd been in worse spots than this, and he wasn't about to back down. The ambush exploded. Darnell swung wild, his fists like sledgehammers. Marco aimed low kicks at Jason's legs, trying to break his base. Victor, the biggest of the three, charged with a vicious haymaker aimed at Jason's jaw. But Jason was a blur of instinct and training. He bobbed under Victor's punch, slamming a palm strike into the coach's sternum, knocking the air from his lungs. Darnell's fist grazed Jason's cheek, drawing blood, but Jason answered with a spinning back fist that caught Darnell's jaw, dropping him to his knees with a thud. Marco tried to grapple, wrapping his arms around Jason's waist, but Jason sprawled, breaking free, and locked Marco in a guillotine choke. The welterweight's face reddened, his hands slapping the mat in surrender. Within seconds, Victor, gasping for breath, roared and charged like a wounded bull. Jason sidestepped, using the coach's momentum to trip him into the ropes. Victor hit the mat hard, his pride shattered more than his body. Jason stood over him, breathing steady, his scarred knuckles red but unyielding. Blood trickled from his cheek, but his eyes were cold, unrelenting. You done? He asked, his voice a low growl. The gym was a graveyard of silence. Victor, panting, nodded weakly, his ego in tatters. Darnell and Marco limped to the sidelines, their arrogance replaced by stunned respect. Jason wiped the blood from his face with the back of his hand and stepped out of the ring, grabbing his water bottle like it was just another day. Jaden approached, his voice shaky with awe. Mr. Statham, that was insane. How'd you learn to fight like that? Jason gave a small, tired smile, his Cockney accent softening. Years of getting hit, kid, and never backing down. Keep training. You've got fire in you. Ronnie, leaning against a heavy bag, nodded at Jason. Didn't think you had that in you, man. Respect. For Ronnie, who'd spent decades chasing a dream that always slipped away, Jason's fight was a revelation, a reminder that grit could outshine even the ugliest arrogance. The gym's dynamic shifted that night. Word of Jason's beatdown spread like wildfire through Detroit's fight scene. Iron Core was no longer Victor's kingdom. Fighters trained harder, inspired by the man who'd walked in as a movie fake and left as a legend. Jaden doubled down on his drills, his dreams of the cage burning brighter. Ronnie, for the first time in years, felt a spark of pride in the sport he loved, even volunteering to coach Jaden on his footwork. Victor kept his mouth shut, his taunts silenced by the humbling truth. Jason Statham's grit was no act. Jason walked out into the Detroit night. The city's pulse matched his own, raw, relentless, real. He'd come to train, but he'd left a legacy. The gym's walls, once witnesses to Victor's tyranny, now hummed with a new energy. Justice, earned in sweat and blood, had reshaped Iron Core forever.